Thank you much for your patience this morning, everyone. We need to form a quorum, but we will now start the Operational Planning and Infrastructure Committee. Teresa, please, will you do the roll call?
All right, Ms. Welch.
Present.
Ms. Moss. Mr. Joyce.
Here.
Ms. Peo. Here. We have 3 committee members present.
Thank you so much. We are going to start the Operational Planning and Infrastructure Committee with a service plan presentation on the FY 2023 service plan from Joel Freilich, the Director of Service Management. Thank you so much. You can begin the presentation.
Thank you, and good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee, members of the board. Joel Freilich, Director of Service Management. The 2023 Service Management Plan, or SMP, is a companion document to the General Manager's recommended 2023 budget. That budget, which is before the committee today, provides for the current service level to continue through 2023. Per longstanding board policy, the Service Management Plan reports current bus route performance and outlines our plans for the coming year. This also is an opportunity for me to update the committee and the board on the progress of ridership recovery from the COVID-19 issue. I'm bringing you very recent data, more recent than in some other presentations, and will give you comparisons between the period of October 1st through 30th of this year compared with past years at that same time, and always comparing to what I call our pre-COVID benchmark period, which was the initial weeks of 2020 before the pandemic hit. There are 2 separate comparisons. They both deal with average daily, but the first is average daily on weekdays. That's on this slide. The other is average daily on weekend days. The 2 are quite different. The benchmark for an average daily ridership on weekdays was set in the initial weeks of 2020, when we were carrying 96,000 passengers per day on weekdays. Just about 9 months after that initial benchmark period, if you look at October 1st through 30th, 2020 on the left side of your slide, you'll see that on weekdays we were carrying only 48% of the pre-COVID benchmark on weekdays. A year later, or a year ago, that figure had risen to 61% of the pre-COVID benchmark on weekdays. Most recently, October 1st through 30th of this year, we've risen to 71% of the pre-COVID benchmark on weekdays. Let's talk about weekends. They're quite different. Weekend ridership on the whole is lower, and so the pre-COVID benchmark is not 96,000 per day, but is 40,000 per day, as shown in the upper left box of your slide. But weekend ridership doesn't have as many office workers in it, and therefore it did not dip as deeply as weekday ridership as in percentage terms. So 8 or 9 months into the pandemic, weekend ridership was 66% of its pre-COVID benchmark. A year ago, or a year later than that, in 21, it had risen to 74% of its pre-COVID benchmark. And in the most recent October 1st through 30th period, average daily ridership on weekends had recovered to 91% of its pre-COVID benchmark. Now, what I'm describing for you is fixed route, meaning bus and rail, but I do know that paratransit has also recovered strongly, and especially on weekends. Let's talk about the service plans for 2023. The staff will continue monitoring the next-gen system performance. The staff will continue responding to construction projects, all their varieties, meaning building construction, sometimes causes reroutes, road construction causes reroutes, bridge construction causes reroutes. We will continue to provide temporary service to support rail construction projects where we operate replacement bus service, and also temporary service for special events. The staff will continue to improve bus stop safety and informational signs at bus stops through minor adjustments to bus stops. We're well into that program. It's a multi-year program. We'll continue this year. We'll continue this year and with increased emphasis on improving transit waiting environments. Not limited to shelters, although shelters are a major component. Sometimes it's a concrete landing pad to make it easier to get off the bus. We're emphasizing especially the waiting environments on the priority corridors of the adopted strategic plan. And of course, the staff will continue to focus on service reliability, on-time performance. The Service Management Plan appendix, in addition to showing the graphs that I already described, has tables of all our 41 bus routes. It, by policy, identifies which routes are in the lowest quartile of their route category, and those are identified. But we're not particularly discouraged by the lower performing routes. For one thing, as I mentioned, ridership and productivity are continuing to grow on our bus system. And moreover, we understand that NextGen was designed to reflect the priorities of our community as expressed during the system redesign process. When you design a route network with community input for the sake of community, it is inevitable that some routes will always have lower productivity than others. That does not necessarily mean a hasty decision should be made with regard to those routes. Madam Chair, I'll be happy to take questions.
Thank you so much for that. Do we have any questions from the board, committee?
Thank you.
No questions. Thank you so much for the presentation today. Do we have a motion to move this to the full board?
So moved.
First, this is just the first.
This is just the first presentation. Thank you so much.
We need to open up the public hearing.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, do we have a motion to suspend this?
Teresa.
Thank you. Second. Oh, Teresa.
I'm sorry.
I was like,
I am so sorry. I'm on the wrong agenda item.
okay, because I thought we were moving into the budget presentation and then we move into the, okay.
Forgive me.
That's okay.
Yeah.
We're all keeping each other on track today. Okay, so we'll just move. Do I have a motion to move this to the budget presentation?
So moved. Luce?
Second. Thank you. We now have a budget presentation proposal for FY 2023 for the operating budget. Kay Satula, the Director of Office of Management and Budget, will be presenting today. Thank you so much, Ms. Kay. The floor is yours.
Good morning, Chair Welch, members of the committee, and members of the board. My name is Kay Satula. I am the Director of the Office of Management and Budget, and today I will be presenting the 2023 proposed budget. Our agenda today is reviewing the budget schedule, economic assumptions, the budget itself, and then a public hearing. In May, we presented the 2023 Capital Improvement Plan, which was adopted by the board. We submit this earlier in the year in order to provide our capital needs to NOACA, ODOT, and FTA in time for their 2023 fiscal years. In July, we presented the 2023 tax budget to the Operational Planning and Infrastructure Committee, which was adopted by the board on July 26th. In August, we began the development of the budget, and today we will present the proposed 2023 budget, which includes the operating budget and transfers to other funds. A public hearing will also be held regarding the proposed budget. A second public hearing will be held on December 6th. We will then recommend to the committee, or that the committee present the proposed budget to the full board for adoption on December 20th. The COVID-19 pandemic has presented challenges over the past 2 years. Current shortages of raw materials such as aluminum alloys and computer chips, as well as shorter and slower supply chain deliveries, are expected to get back to normal in 2023. This has affected the auto and bus manufacturers, as aluminum alloys appear in almost every component of cars and buses. Ridership and passenger fare revenue are projected to increase at modest rates. The Federal Reserve Bank and Moody's Analytics expect interest rates to remain between 3.5% and 4.5% in 2023, as inflation is still high. The Federal Open Market Committee states that the current increases in interest rates is helping to stabilize prices as market conditions slowly improve. In 2023, inflation is expected to decrease, as is interest rates. Currently, the authority has received an average yield of 1.4% on its investments. The authority was awarded funding through the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Securities Act, or CARES Act, Coronavirus Response Relief Supplemental Appropriations Act, or CRSA, and the American Rescue Plan, or ARP. All stimulus funding has been drawn down between 2020 and 2022, and no additional stimulus funding is expected. Wage increases, which are largely contractual, are budgeted for 2023. The revenue for the 2023 budget totals $299.9 million, of which the largest three categories are sales and use tax receipts at 86.4%, passenger fares at 8.2%, and other reimbursed expenditures at 1.3%. We budgeted a transfer of $6.5 million from the Revenue Stabilization Subfund, a component of the Reserve Fund, back to the General Fund to offset lower passenger fare revenue. These transfers represent 2.2% of total budgeted revenues. Actual passenger fares received through September 2022 totaled $18.8 million. This is 15.2% above budget. We are projecting passenger fares to end the year at $24.2 million. Total passenger fares for 2023 are budgeted at $24.7 million, representing a 2% increase. Sales and use tax through October totaled $211.2 million, a 6.6% increase over 2021 levels. The year-end projection is $254.4 million. Sales tax for 2023 is budgeted at $259 million, representing a 1.8% increase over 2022. And again, these estimates are conservative. Reimbursed expenditures includes reimbursements for preventive maintenance, force account labor, fuel tax, and other miscellaneous items. For the proposed 2023 budget, total reimbursed expenditures are projected at $5 million. Preventive maintenance reimbursement is budgeted at $1 million, so the grant funding can be allocated to other projects in the Capital Improvement Fund. In order to offset the declines in the passenger fare revenue and to maintain a one-month ending balance at the end of 2023, we have budgeted a transfer of $6.5 million from the Revenue Stabilization Subfund. If sales tax and passenger fares are stronger than budget, we may not need to transfer the entire amount, and this will be reviewed on a monthly basis. Total revenues for 2022 is estimated at $369 million, and for the proposed 2023 budget, revenues are projected at $299.9 million. For fiscal year 2022, we started with 2,374.5 FTEs, or full-time equivalent positions. In August, we amended the budget to add 7 civilian oversight committee members, bringing a new total of 2,381.5 FTEs. For 2023, we budgeted 2,396.5 FTEs, or full-time equivalent positions. This is an increase of 14 positions. These positions include 5 additional transit police positions, including ambassadors and crisis intervention specialists, 2 laborers for facilities and cleaning, 4 ITS positions, and 3 administrative positions. 87.4% of the budgeted positions are in the operations division. Total expenditures for the 2023 budget is projected at $324 million, which includes $282.4 million for the operating expenditures and $41.6 million for transfers to other funds. Salaries and overtime and payroll taxes and fringes remain the top 2 categories at 48.4% and 17.5% respectively. Salaries and overtime are estimated at $213.7 million and account for 65.9% of RTA's general fund expenses. New contracts for healthcare, which include hospitalization, prescription, vision, dental, and life insurance, will begin on January 1st. Total payroll, which includes payroll taxes and fringes, are estimated to increase by 4.3%, mainly due to wage increases, which are largely contractual, and the new healthcare contracts. The Energy Price Risk Management Program has continued to help stabilize the increased cost of fuel, specifically diesel and CNG. The authority's diesel fuel usage has decreased, and compressed natural gas usage has increased as we add more CNG buses to the fleet and retire older diesel vehicles. Fuel and utilities is budgeted at 14.9%. Inventory is budgeted at 12.5%, or 3.9%, $12.5 million, or 3.9% of general fund expenditures. The supply chain management section has helped the authority to maintain predictive maintenance, repairs on the authority's newer fleets, and carry out major purchases for supplies and equipment. The main drivers of the services and materials category are services and maintenance contracts, equipment, and other miscellaneous supplies. This category is projected at $24.6 million, or 7.6% of all expenditures. Most of this category consists of contractual agreements. We have added more funding to ITS and IT budgets for 2023 as we have increased investments in technology. Purchased transportation ADA is projected at $9.2 million, and new contracts will be negotiated in 2023. Transfers to other funds are budgeted at $41.9 million, These transfers are for specific set-asides for bond retirement, insurance, supplemental pension, capital improvement, and reserve funds. These transfers are to support the expected expenses and maintain the recommended fund balances. Expenditures for the proposed 2023 budget total $324.3 million. Total operating expenditures against total revenues for 2022 through 2025 shows a positive balance for each year. Preventive maintenance reimbursement for 2023 through 2025 remain at $1 million, so the grant funding can be used for priority projects. For fiscal year 2023, total revenues of $293.4 million against operating expenses of $282.4 million has a net value of $11 million. When adding in the required transfers to other funds, the net value is a negative $30.9 million. With a beginning balance of $49 million and a transfer of $6.5 million from the Reserve Stabilization Fund to offset the lower passenger fare revenues, this will meet the board policy goal of a 1-month operating reserve, and the available ending balance will be $24.6 million. Transfers to other funds are to support the expenses and maintain the recommended ending balances. And for the 2 out years, a $30 million transfer in 2024 and a $34 million transfer in 2025 are planned to maintain the 1-month reserve at the end of each year. The fiscal year 2023 capital improvement plan was approved by the Board of Trustees on May 24th, 2022. This is presented early to align with the 2023 fiscal years for Ohio and the federal government. The capital improvement plan provides for the purchase, maintenance, and improvement of the authority's capital assets through a programmed allocation of available financial resources. We are currently reviewing the entire CIP and may be presenting an update to the 2023 through 2027 CIP in December. Any questions?
Do we have any questions from the board, committee? For Mrs. Satula. Ms. Satula. Yes, Mayor.
Go back just your summary financials that show the, right there, perfect. Question, what's the current balance in the revenue stabilization subfund, roughly?
So we have a total of $80 million that was transferred in 2021 and an additional $50 million that was transferred this year. So it's $130 million.
Okay, thank you. And then also you mentioned a slight modest uptick in passenger fares for next year for 23?
Correct. 2% increase.
Is that what it is? Okay, great. So playing off of that. Okay, thank you.
I have a question. Just so everyone is clear around this. So the transit police ambassadors, any civilian oversight committee members, our transit police, that is all in the operations, the 87.4%?
Correct.
Okay, that's great. It would be, I think, helpful to maybe in the future maybe separate that out so we can see where transit police is being funded. Additionally, because it would be good to see maybe the percentage of transit police, how much money is going into that. And is it also our understanding that as we grow the ambassador program, have more people on our buses, making sure that we're streamlining the process of people getting in and out, those individuals will be coming from the transit police budget. Am I correct around that?
Yes, the ambassadors and the the Civilian Oversight Committee members will be budgeted through the Board of Trustees, Department 16. But the ambassadors and crisis intervention specialists will be budgeted through transit police.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. Any additional questions?
And this may be a question more for management, but just relative to ridership, do we have plans in the works to go out there and promote ridership and try and grow that 2% for future years at a greater pace? Eventually, our revenue stabilization fund won't be there, and we'll be forced with some tough decisions.
Mayors, if I may, this is India Birdsong Terry. Just to be able to address the quick question about first where the ambassadors come from, absolutely, and Kate answered that correctly. Member Welch, they will be a subset of the operations division, so that large part of the pie that was on the previous slide will be encompassed in that area. However, we can always break it out and maybe put an arrow to be able to identify that. They will remain under operations, as does security through TP or transit police. And then to answer the question by Mayor Kumar, I will say a couple words, and then I'll ask Natoya Walker-Minor give a couple of sentences on our marketing plan for 2023. We will absolutely, the answer is yes. We'll be targeting new ridership, also making our current ridership more comfortable with the transparency efforts that we have, as well as the marketing that we have going forward. We wanted to remain consistent. Historically, we had changed our marketing approach from year to year, and we wanted to be able to try out a little bit more of a consistent marketing approach as far as campaigns and programs. So we have a pretty robust holiday program coming up, as well as concrete plans for 2023 through community partnerships. In fact, I'll be including a little bit of that in my general manager's slide, but Natoya, if you'd be able to weigh in just for a moment, that might help.
Sure. Thank you for this opportunity to answer this question. What I am primarily focused on as it relates to our communications is integrated communications. So literally integrating our internal, our external, and what I call our operational communications. All three of those swim lanes, if you will, must work in tandem in order for us to build our brand identity, to create trust, to create transparency, and to say to this community that we are, in fact, an anchor in this community, that you can rely on us for your transit access needs. So that's what I'm doing internal with our workforce, including not only my team, which is marketing, but also leaning into the staff and operations that works in the ICC. They have an operationals person, so that gentleman works very closely with us, and then also working very closely with the web guys who don't report to me, but from my perspective, just the seamlessness of that full integration that's been working for us. The other item that we're doing is working closer with our partners in terms of campaigns, really utilizing our assets, our rolling stock, as advertisements for social economic challenges to increase the awareness around things known as the social determinants of health, otherwise known as health, education, housing, jobs, those types of things. So working very closely with the partners in this community in the economic development space and using our rolling stock as the advertisements. All of those things in tandem to reach additional riders and to enhance our ridership and to increase the awareness around our assets. Lastly, I'll say we talked about microtransit a few weeks ago, and so an example of leaning in to identify additional riders is we'll be visiting with the mayor and Solon and the team so that we can work with the sector partnerships that are in Cleveland that work directly with those employers. So for example, Magnet with manufacturing and the host of manufacturing, so we can lean into those that work and those that are being recruited there, that they can use RTA as their means of transit access.
Thank you, Jan Birdsong. Thank you, Dr. Walker Minor, for that. Thank you, Mayor. Are there any additional questions? This is a presentation, so it won't be moving on, but we do need a motion to suspend the committee meeting. A second? Do we have a second?
Ms. Welch, you may need to second it because Ms. Pale had to take.
Okay. Oh, I see. Okay, sorry, I couldn't see over the glare over there. Okay, I'll second that, and we will now suspend this committee meeting and open it up for the public hearing.
Good morning. This is the first of two official public hearings on the proposed 2023 budget for the Greater Cleveland Regional Transit Authority. The information for the 2023 budget has been made available for public inspection in the Office of Management and Budget and on the authority's website, Facebook, and Twitter pages. Public notice of this hearing has been given by publication of legal advertisements in the Cleveland Plain Dealer on October 23rd and October 30th, and the Call-in Post on October 19th and October 26th, as well as by posting of notice in the first floor lobby of the authority's main office building, the authority's website, Facebook page, and Twitter page. The proposed 2023 budget was presented to the Operational Planning and Infrastructure Committee of the RTA Board of Trustees on November 15th. A second presentation will be made to the committee on December 6th. The proposed budget estimates revenues at $299.9 million. Sales and use tax receipts are budgeted to increase by 1.8%, and total passenger fares are budgeted at $24.7 million, a 2% increase from 2022 projections. Reimbursed expenditures includes reimbursements for preventive maintenance, force account labor, fuel tax, and other miscellaneous reimbursements. For 2023, reimbursed expenditures are budgeted at $5 million, of which $1 million is for preventive maintenance. The formula funds normally used for PM reimbursement will be used for unfunded or underfunded capital projects. Total expenditures for the proposed 2023 budget are projected at $324.3 million, which includes $282.4 million for operating expenditures and $41.9 million for transfers to other funds to support the expenses and maintain the recommended ending balances for the bond retirement, insurance, supplemental pension, capital improvement, and reserve funds. The 2023 through 2027 Capital Improvement Plan was adopted by the Board of Trustees on May 24th, 2022. The CIP provides for the purchase, maintenance, and improvement of the authority's capital assets through a programmed allocation of available financial resources. The Capital Improvement Plan for 2023 totals $133.3 million, of which the three highest categories include the Bus Improvement Program at $37.1 million, Rail Car Replacement Program at $30.6 million, and Rail Improvement Projects at $25 million. The 5-year CIP totals $666.2 million. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that statement, Ms. Satula. Teresa, can you please usher us into the public comment, please? Thank you.
Okay. If we have anybody in person that would like to speak specifically on the operating budget.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Everybody, good morning.
Morning.
I'm Reverend Pamela M. Pinckney Butts, for those who do not know me. I welcome the young people that are here, or the group that's here. I do have a challenge with the fact I don't see any woman of color in that group, and there is a seat over there that is vacant and available for one to be there. For this new proposed budget, and I do not plan to be ignored, please. I would like to know what the preventive maintenance is and what the priorities projects are, because the Superior Rapid is still not fixed and there's still challenges with things in Black communities. I would like to know also, because I still don't see anything or hear anything to update and improve the East 79th Street with all that money that's being changed on 79th in a Black neighborhood, in a poor Black community, where it's not updated, and we can't get elevators for disabled people on the east side, especially in Black communities, but people who have motorized wheelchairs, I see the budget for that, and I don't see any mention in this proposed budget for the maintenance and the balancing of the bus shelters, because I see high-class ones on one side of town, especially out west, and I see broken down, dirty ones on the east side, especially in Black, poor, and disabled communities. I would like to know also how much money is going into policing and for what reason. And Chief Jones, I would like to know the chief safety concerns so we in the faith community can help you address that, so we don't have to spend so much money in policing and we can begin to do family reform, because there's still racial profiling in this public transportation. I would like to know more about the financial transfers. And I know that Dantes Taylor and I were here at the last meeting, and we asked for the RTA to partner with us to do some community outreach, and we have not gotten an answer yet, and we don't want to hear about United Way. We're talking about what we're doing, which is another racial profiling. And I'd like to also know why I don't hear anything in this budget about the homeless being addressed and homeless people, displaced people getting some type of resources. Under the leadership of Mr. Dixon and Mr. Calabrese, we had bus passes, we had other resources, we had the trolleys, we had many different things. But because a person is displaced does not mean that a person is to be discounted, because we don't know where we're going to be on what side of the bridge, and we have to get across the bridge, and don't be discounted and don't be denied and don't be confused that you may have to be the bridge that somebody has to bring you across. So we need to get away from this budget that is still displacing people, discounting people, especially people of color. And I don't hear anything in this budget that talks about what Norm Edwards is talking about, Black businesses and Black contractors having rights and opportunities for any of these things. And I'm coming back to, I'm coming back to you during the regular board meeting, because I've given you enough to think about. Because anytime the operators are still telling me that you all are not listening to them, and you're still not hearing them, and we still don't see people of color and representation and all these little groups that you bring in here, I'm having a problem with that. So I'm not supporting this budget until you get it right. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Pinckney. Do we have anyone else from the audience? Mr. Rodriguez, I think, can we let Mr. Rodriguez go first and then, okay. Lou, can you help him? Thank you.
Hello there. I've been hearing I wonder where in the budget is going to be included the safety at the rapid stations, because it's a little questionable at the rapid stations. It's a little bit unsafe lately, and people be getting assaulted on the trains. I guess there's no people watching on all these stations. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rodriguez. Anyone else from the audience?
Hi, good morning.
Morning.
Good morning. William Tarter, speaking as a citizen and not representative of my employer. Thanks so much for the opportunity, Mr. Chairman and the committee chair. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Just a quick question on the budget presentation. I'm looking at the Q3 report, the quarterly management report, and specifically it mentions on page 6, passenger fares are projected to be $23.5 million by year end. And then I'm reading the transmittal letter that says that passenger fares are projected to end 2022 at 24.2 million. And then in the sales and use tax figure, it mentions in the Q3 report, by year end, sales tax is estimated to be 253 million. But in the transmittal letter, it mentions that the sales tax projection at the year end is projected to be 254.4 million. So I was wondering if, for the public who is following these two very important figures, if we could get clarity on those two reports. Thank you.
Do we have anyone else in the room that would like to make a comment? If not, we will go to the phones. In the back, do we have anybody online?
Yes, we do have one caller. Go ahead, Chris.
All right.
Oh, I'm sorry. We have two callers. Go ahead, Chris Martin.
Go ahead, Mr. Martin.
Okay, thanks. Chris Martin, City of Cleveland. First off, I just want to note that the live stream of the meeting got out on YouTube, so please fix that immediately. I didn't actually plan on calling in today, but I wanted to follow up on a question that Trustee Welch mentioned about the inclusion of the police budget within the overall operations budget. So yeah, that $15 million police budget is included in the overall operations budget, but isn't it the case that police capital expenses like its fleet of SUVs and its military tactical vehicle are not accounted for at all in the police operations budget? Those are not accounted for in the $15 million. I would like to see those numbers highlighted as well, how much the transit agency is spending on SUVs, on military vehicles for its police department. I know on May 30th, 2020, the agency spent nearly $10,000 deploying some of those vehicles and its SWAT team to the Justice Center, which I've never really understood how that did anything to protect the transit riding public. But I would love to see some of those capital expenses, police capital expenses, highlighted in your budget as well. That is all.
All right, we can go to the next caller.
Yes, we have one more caller. Go ahead, Chris Campbell.
Hello? Hello?
Go ahead.
Good morning, everybody. First, I would like to say, God bless you all. Praying for the safety of us all as we have made it out of COVID and getting ready to go into 2023. Thank you that we can come in and have an intelligent conversation with each other to bring about a better change for our paratransit and the regular rails. My name is Mrs. Gamble, and I want to talk about the buses, the paratransit, the condition of the buses. And it's something in there for the budget from there. I'm on the paratransit right now as we speak on my way to work, and I have sciatic nerves. I have fibromyalgia and some other health conditions that allows me to ride the paratransit. I'm very thankful for the paratransit. However, the buses are they need shot terribly, terribly. When you're riding, if you're in a wheelchair, and you know the conditions of our roads, they're working on them everywhere, thank God for that. But it's just a terrible ride. It's not a complaint. It's really a health thing. For instance, I have sciatic nerve going on right now, and I have to sit behind the driver. This is the most seat that you don't get all the bouncing. You literally, some of these bumps you hit, you're just going up in the air. And so that's one of my concerns. And I'm a community advocate. I speak not only for myself, but for others that ride the paratransit, particularly when you're in a wheelchair. So I was just hoping some of the buses are, they're different types. I'm on the 7513. I don't know if it's an older bus or what. I know there's some newer fleets, and just hoping that we could get some new paratransit buses or get some shots put on them. It may sound like a trivial thing, but if you have pain in your body, if you're in a wheelchair, you have sciatic nerve pain, back pain, chronic pain, it's not a good ride. So it's not a complaint. It's to bring it to your attention because maybe you haven't heard that, and see if we could get something done about that.
Thank
And
you.
I don't know if this is the time to talk about the paratransit services, but I'll wait to hear that. Thank you so very much for the opportunity to speak.
Okay, thank you for your comment, Ms. Gamble. We have made a note of your concerns. We're going to move to the next caller. Lou, if you want to go ahead.
No more callers.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I'm glad that we will have a new budget coming up to help the service and our people to move forward or anywhere we want to go. So number one concern, in the budget, we did hear a good question about how our ambassador program and other program, how these two items are funded throughout our budget. But I wish somebody can make that clear that we are not budgeting any money for the positions which were already deemed unconstitutional. In that case, we will actually see this is a good operation to move the funding to the position which we should not have to the position we actually need for the community. Then the second part is, in the budget, I think for paratransit or people waiting for fixed route, maybe our budget should increase some safety features. Make sure that even in cold weather, when electricities are not as strong, people can still press emergency button, for example, to notify if the location this rider is in, there's a trouble. And of course, definitely we need our transit police to arrive there to offer assistance immediately. And the third part is, I think that we should take another look of the budget on our vehicle purchase. Lots of time we know we don't have that many bidders to go through. However, the design of the vehicle, I have been addressing the issue as they are not very safe even for the people without obvious disabilities using fixed route. So if we want to have a safer trips for our operators and riders, maybe we should take a look into that to see if we can get a better budget to make sure we can purchase safer vehicles. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Welch. I believe that ends the comments. I do not have any emails on the public comment email.
Thank you all so much for those public comments. They certainly keep RTA sharp and will be addressed in the near future. Do we have a motion to move this to the full board, the operating budget?
So move.
So this is the first presentation. So I believe
This is the last. Is this a last? This is
the first.
This is the first one. Okay, I apologize. I thought this was the last one. Okay, so we're just gonna motion to reconvene the committee meetings.
So move.
Second.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
That's fine.
Ms. Satula, you can continue.
Okay, that's all I have.
Okay. Well, that is all she has. So now we move out of this, right, Teresa?
We can adjourn.
Okay, we can adjourn. Motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second. Now we will adjourn.
Thank you. Morning, everyone.
Morning.
Again. I'm calling to order the meeting of our committee, RTA Organizational Services and Performance Monitoring Committee. Roll call, please.
All right. Mayor Biassiata.
Here.
Ms. Moss. Mayor Weiss.
Here.
And Ms. Welch.
Here.
We have 3 committee members present.
Fantastic. Today we're going to have 2 agenda items. First is our quarterly management report, and we're going to review the third quarter results, and we're going to go over our third quarter scorecards from TransPro. Our first speaker is remote today. It's our general manager, Ms. Birdsong. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Mayor. Good morning to everyone in the audience and also live stream. I apologize for being remote today. However, sometimes life gets in the way, so I wanted to make sure that I was here to join you to talk the budget and general fund activities. So I will be relatively brief. I know we had a robust conversation about the budget. I appreciate all of the public comments and was taking notes alongside of speakers as well. So the slides that you have in front of you here are a quick review and summary of the third quarter activities. You'll see the total revenues are nearly 4.5% higher than budgeted for the third quarter, with the passenger fares also higher, around 15%, and sales tax and use also coming in a bit higher than budgeted for the third quarter. The operating expenses on the converse are a little lower than budget, with total personnel costs coming in nearly 6% lower than budget. A lot of this has to do with reduced costs in healthcare and parts inventory for our agency. Fuel hedging, of course, continues to fluctuate. However, it does help stabilize costs as we continue through the quarter. I did want to mention before we go to the next slide, the ridership changes. And so we do mention that there is a bit of an adjustment. We have a slow crawl back to pre-pandemic ridership, but we do expect that to be able to increase over time. We are about 18.6 higher ridership-wise than in quarter 3 of 2021, with the majority of that coming in from light rail, paratransit, and fixed route bus, we call big bus internally here. The slide you have in front of you, if we go to the next one, Teresa. Thank you. Transfers to other funds, we discussed reserve funds and capital improvement. This is really important because you get into the rolling stock reserve that we have. As you recall, we made a commitment to continue to pour into our rolling stock and our replacement initiatives for both bus improvement as well as rail. $50 million in revenue stabilization, and then again we have a 27K, which you have in front of you here, to the tune of nearly $900,000. Capital improvement funds, we have nearly $45 million that's transferred across from that. And then again, we are looking at total operating expenditures 7% under budget, and that's within the package that you have. Next slide. Federal stimulus funding, I just wanted to get into a little bit of discussion about the drawdown. Through the ARP, we drew down $81.2 million. Also wanted to be able to mention on the grant side, we have 47 active grants currently. 29 of them are formula grant awards, and 18 are competitive or discretionary. So we have a lot of good, healthy competition in the market within the industry to be able to kind of right-side the ship regarding grant contribution to a lot of our programs that we have. It was mentioned earlier, some of our funding that goes toward our vehicle replacement. That information, I believe, is on page 9 of your packet or your booklet for the third quarter, which gets into the breakdown and allocation of some of the funds that are being allocated and sought out for vehicle replacement. We almost have nearly $900,000 that's attributed to paratransit. So the safety commitment that we have to paratransit is definitely reflected in the numbers, and we did take note regarding that comment as well as others. Also being able to just give a quick highlight before I close in on some of the programs that we have highlighted in the first couple pages of the quarter 3 report. Just again, the RTA Cleans program, you hear a lot about that. You'll actually hear us deep dive into that in the next presentation, as it really has helped us start to get in tune with the community a little bit more. We hear you. We understand that cleanliness is definitely essential to be able to get people to be comfortable riding our services, and we've gotten great gains for that. We'll go into that in a bit when Aaron takes the stage. Also, we have a community connection line, which was rolled out in quarter 3. It really allows us to get in tune with our customers' viewpoints and to provide another option for them to let us know how they feel about our service. The Easy Fare validators, we talked about that earlier in the quarter. and that was rolled out in the summer actually with the fair payment options. Those validators have been installed on all Healthline vehicles, and we're still on target to be able to have those validators on all of our fleet by the year end. Hiring and workforce, we have a couple new programs which we're really excited about. The Positive Impact Program is an operator mentoring program. We actually have Nick Bigger, our Hayden District Director, in the gallery today, which can, I'm sure, talk to that if we have any questions after the presentation. And then also ADA compliance and alterations to service. We're working on those 40 locations that have been completed for shelter installs across the system. And then again, we're forward to being able to get those hiring activities out there, giving people opportunities to work for RTA with interviews and job offers on the spot, sending background checks and the like. And on the legislative side, we want to make sure that we continue to put safety as a priority. We have what's called a PTAS, which is basically a safety committee with the union as we look to be able to set our goals and targets for the year ahead and as we close out the fourth quarter. You'll be hearing more on that from us. On the legislative side, again, we have been really aggressive when it comes to the grant outreach and being able to apply for those grants. We enjoyed $11.5 million in grants over the third quarter, with $8 million going toward rail car replacement and $3.5 million in bus improvement. So we have a lot of activities going on. I wanted to make sure that you had a bird's eye view of those things. And at this point, I'm happy to take any questions if there are any.
Thank you, Ms. Birdsong. Any questions from the committee? Mayor?
Just one question on the ARPA funds. Am I correct that the 81.2 that was drawn down or will be drawn down this year, oh, that's the final draw on ARPA funds?
Mayor, thank you for the question. So this is Raj Gautam. So the last piece of the ARP funds was the 81.2 million, which was fully drawn down, I believe, in August. So that's been taken care of.
So
no additional stimulus funds are expected.
Great, thank you. Just wanted to confirm.
Further questions from the committee? Any questions from the board as a whole? Wonderful. We're going to move on to our next agenda topic. It's the transport scorecards. And Ms. Birdsong is going to start us off going over the scorecards and the customer experience surveys.
Thank you so much again, Mayor. I will give Aaron a couple seconds to approach the podium. Aaron, if you could let me know when you're there.
He's ready to go.
I'm here.
That's perfect. That's what we expect. Aaron has become one of the team. So let me introduce him very quickly. Aaron Bingaman is a senior professional with TransPro. They are the third-party consultant that we have adopted within RTA standards to really kind of take us through the process of getting our data together. Traction is the name that we adopted in-house. That is, as you can see through the image, through branding, that's just our way of keeping on track and keeping in line with our performance metrics and really understanding the root cause behind some of the data. Again, just a quick summary for those that are new to this or have to kind of remember from quarter to quarter. This is a different way of looking at the data. The way that we have outlined, if we go into it, really allows us to compare ourselves on the national stage so that we can understand how we operate not only within Greater Cleveland, but how we also stack up to the transit industry, other mobility options in the country, as well as retail markets. We have a large part of our business that is based in and is rooted in customer service, so we want to make sure that we check those boxes as well as the operational logistics. So if you want to go to the next slide, please, I'll go through the agenda. Thank you. So we're going to be relatively quick for you so we can get into any discussion. This is our third time coming to you with results in 2022. We're really excited about this as we start to embark on the end of the year because it gives us a really good base to go off of as we start to calibrate our metrics and our goals for 2023. If you recall, this is the first time we've done this, so you have to take our goals with a little bit of a grain of salt, but it looks like we were on the right track when we start to compare ourselves nationally, and you'll see that as well. Next slide. Performance management cadence. So what is this? This basically lays out you where we are in the year. As I mentioned, we started in January, April, July, October, and again, moving toward the end of the year. We are nearly toward the end. We will be coming back to you, I believe, in January, February timeframe to report on quarter 4. So what you're hearing today is the quarter 3 metrics and logistics. You also see in the bottom, there's a key there for the surveys. Remember that there's a survey component that really gets to the data on this and says, how are we doing? We ask our customers. We are very competitive with our surveys. I believe there's 1,200 or so every time that go out, which is really impressive when you look at how many surveys normally go out for transportation initiatives. They're normally a third of that amount. Next slide. Okay, path to success. Let's go ahead and get into it. Next slide, please. Thank you. So just to recap the mission, why we exist, we're connecting the community, our vision, what do we strive for? We want to lead the delivery of safe and creative mobility solutions, and we actually want to connect the community as well, right? So we hear that over and over again. Next slide. Focus on outcomes. We're not measuring activity. We have activities to be able to support the metrics. However, we want to measure and monitor the metrics that actually matter to us and matter to our customers. We don't want to sit in a bubble and assume we know what our customers want. We go out and ask. And then we come back and we internalize that information and we create programs and campaigns and pilots to be able to address those issues. And then we check on them, see how we have done. Go back out to our customers, find out, are we doing better? And then we come back and adopt those pilots and absorb them into our everyday operational activities so that we can move on to the next outcome. That is the process. Find out what's wrong, fix it, go back, validate that we've done a good job, come back, internalize it, absorb it, and move on to the next. Next slide. All right, organizational success outcomes. Wanted to be able to give you a little bit of information on this. We have 4 buckets, so to speak: customer experience, community value, sustainability financially, and employee engagement. We have definitions for each of these. We want to make sure we're very intentional about that. And we also have our performance goal listed. I will allow Erin to go into a little bit of detail about this so that we can get into the nitty gritty of it and really have some answers to your questions, and then also a net promoter definition score. On the right-hand side with the performance goals, you'll see the percentages, excuse me, and then you'll also see the deficit. So we'll get into detail about that. Next slide. What is the net promoter score and why does this make a difference to us? This is where we're going to kind of turn here and get into the detail. So if you remember before, net promoter was how well are we doing according to our customers? How likely are you, excuse me, customer A, for example, to be a detractor, a promoter, or someone who's kind of on the fence? We want to make sure we can turn detractors into promoters, and we want to make sure that folks on the fence can get into the positive side. We have lined up, if you look on the right-hand side of the slide, ourselves and compared ourselves with Costco, Disney, other transit agencies, airlines, car rental agencies, and net provider. These are the big boys, or the major players in the market that have a high contingent of customer service, as do we. And you'll notice transit agencies are highlighted at 35%. That is the goal for transit agencies for Net Promoter Score. I'm happy to say that we have exceeded that 35% in this quarter. And we'll get into a little bit of information about how we did that, what changes we made, and how we're going to sustain that progress to make sure that we continue to be above the mark when it comes to comparisons nationwide. So, Erin, if you want to go ahead and kick it off with the deep dive into the detail, we can go ahead and do that.
All right. Thank you, Mrs. Birdsong. Thank you, Mayor Biasiato. Going to continue on our results. As CEO Birdsong shared, our performance goal across our 4 primary areas of focus, the 4 outcomes that are really driving decisions for the organization, are around customer experience, community value, our financial sustainability, and employee engagement. So for the end of the 3rd quarter, where we stand, our performance goal for our Net Promoter Score is 26%. That's a 5% increase over what our baseline was, which was established in the 1st quarter. For the end of the 3rd quarter, we are at a 37. Referencing back to that last slide around the Net Promoter Score, RTA is now performing ahead of the industry sampled average for Net Promoter Score. So congratulations on that growth. We'll talk a little bit about how we got there, but by making data-informed decisions, listening to our customers, putting in things like the bus cleanliness program, we believe we're starting to see that positive outcome on customers' increase in that space. Our community value is a percent of community value score, number of factors that contribute to that, including community members saying in a statistically valid sample how much they appreciate and value RTA as a contributor to the community. Our performance goal for that is 89, currently at an 84. With respect to financial sustainability, we have a performance goal of a $0 deficit, very specifically about the available ending balance at the end of the year. Financially, we are trending on that direction and on track to deliver that. And then last but not least, our employee engagement is we have an employee engagement score that takes results from employee surveys. Now you'll see that the goal here is a negative 2%. So we are currently at a negative 2.5. Last time we assessed that was earlier in the year. By the 21st of November, we should have data completed for a second round of our employee engagement feedback. So we'll be able to report at the Q4 results when I'm back with you in, I think it's February's board meeting to figure out how we demonstrate how we showed at the year. We should have some insight into the progress made. Did we get towards that -2 or better, which would be a trending towards a positive number. So that is where we're reporting against those initial 4 outcomes. Just for some peer benchmarking and comparison, the bright red lines indicate where we are with respect to this quarter. The pink indicates where we have been on previous quarters. The gray shows the sampled national average. So you can see from a customer net promoter score, it is actually the national average is a 35, so we apologize for the typo on the slide. But you can see we are trending in the positive direction on our net promoter score, our customers telling us their willingness to recommend. Also, the community perception of the value RTA is delivering to the community, also trending in the positive, and both of those in alignment with or ahead of the industry average. The employee focus continues to be, this is a repeat of data we showed you last quarter, but we'll have updates on that for the Q4 and see how we trend on that direction going forward. Some other key industry comparisons regarding customer impression that we wanted to share with you. Obviously, we've just talked about the customer net promoter score and the growth there, but we've also seen a really sustained degree of excellence in our customer satisfaction. So we were at an 85, we dipped to a 74, we're back up to a 79, so that's in alignment with the industry average, as well as the impression of on-time performance that improved over the last quarter, and operator courtesy impression. So people seeing greater courtesy from our operators, and there's been some intentional training around that, I believe. Nick, is that correct? Thank you. And then vehicle cleanliness impression also increasing. And 2 things. Obviously, we have been cleaning the buses with greater intensity. Dr. Kaver shared the RTA's approach to that. But we've also been in collaboration with our marketing communications team, Dr. Walker-Smith, communicating to our customers that we are cleaning the buses, right? It's one thing to do it, it's another thing to tell folks that we're doing it. So a combined strategy of partners working together throughout the enterprise to move the needle on these things. A couple highlights on tactics. Where do we see opportunities to continue to maintain excellence? So we've seen that growth in our net promoter score, that sustained excellence in our customer satisfaction. How do we continue to grow that, and how do we sustain that? Well, obviously, we want to maintain the focus on cleanliness. That's going to continue to be a priority. Where we see the opportunities now, and I think we've heard it in some of the public comments, I think we've heard it in some of the strategies where the budget is focused, is around safety and security. Safety waiting for the bus, safety on the bus, same for rail and fixed, really making sure that there's a focus and emphasis on that. So what Ms. Birdsong talked about was data-informed decisions. We have a plan. We've identified the things that we think will have an impact on improving our outcomes. but listening to our customers, listening to our community, adjusting and adapting our strategies to be able to do that. So that's where you see then the focus of resources being allocated towards those investments. So you'll see, I think, a shift over the next couple quarters towards that safety while also maintaining sustained focus on cleanliness to be able to achieve the outcomes that we desire. A couple of the tactics, you heard Doc Kaver last time we were together and Ms. Birdsong talk about these 3 priorities of clean, safety, and on time, really driving those areas of focus. The green check marks indicate an implementation of the plan. And I just want to talk for 10 seconds, if you'll grant me this. When Ms. Birdsong reviewed the timeline of the implementation, I think that there's 2 things that are really, really important that I want to share. And where we have the privilege to work with public transit agencies around the country, the commitment of the RTA team to own their responsibility in achieving these outcomes. We are all familiar with organizations that complete strategic plans, put them together, and then they sit on a shelf. And this team has really leaned into the work they've committed to do as part of that work plan. They stand before each other on a monthly basis and talk about the progress and work that they were doing. They hold each other accountable to the things they need from each other to be able to get that work done. And then quarterly share and celebrate and or figure out how do we get better when it comes to the results and the numbers on a quarterly basis, just like we're presenting with you. So the entire management and leadership team has seen this, and there's a real drive to have ownership throughout the organization to accomplish these outcomes. So just as an observer, a third-party observer, seeing RTA really own and drive their definition of success in implementing a great plan. So a couple things remaining to be done, obviously around safety. There's been some added strategies with ambassadors, the review board, as well as camera technology. I think there'll be some alignment between communication and safety as well about some of the things being done to ensure a safe and secure ride for our customers and in the community. And then continue to work to improve on-time performance as well as the perception around that. I want to pause for a minute. Nick Bigger is my phone a friend today because we don't have Doc Kaver. He's preparing for a weather event. Anything you want to add to this, Nick?
Thank you, Aaron. Mr. Chair, members of the board, Nick Bigger, Hayden District Director. I know that Dr. Kaver went into great detail last time outlining the cleaning efforts, so I'm not going to reiterate those, but I will just say that much of our approach in addressing the cleaning challenge has been replicated on the safety side as well. So Chief Jones, Dr. Kaver, Transit Police leadership meets on a weekly basis. So this is continued focus, both cleaning and safety for us.
Right, thank you. So one other tool that is available to the team, and I talked about reporting, is that is a combination of a scorecard. So while we also have our 4 areas of success and those 4 key metrics tied to those 4 things, there are a variety of sub-metrics that the team is using to make sure, as key performance indicators, are they allowing us to indicate progress towards those goals? You can actually overperform. You can get bonus points if you exceed. So for example, in the Net Promoter Score, we're exceeding our target of 26 right now with a 37. And so I think there's 13 goal points in the scorecard, so they're actually getting credit for 16.9. So that is why there are more points in some categories. Strong quarter. And that tells us a couple things. A, maybe we are trending in the right direction. I think there's confidence around that. But B, in 2023, do we need to be more ambitious, more challenging ourselves to set more stretch goals to make sure we're really pursuing greatness and excellence at the RTA and delivering our mission of connecting the community. So you might see some adjustments in that as the team presents to you the plan for 2023. Last but not least, I think you will see me back here again in February for your board meeting to report the final results. I'll leave it to Ms. Birdsong to talk about how she intends to wrap and what the team will be doing to forecast goals for 2023, and then happy to answer any questions you all may have regarding today's report. Ms. Birdsong?
Thanks, Aaron. Thank you. Appreciate it, and thanks, Nick, as well. I just want to make sure I just reiterate how much of a hustle mentality, if I can say that the operations division and marketing team had regarding getting that RTA Cleans program up and running. That program was in response to a lot of what we saw in quarter 1 and quarter 2. To be quite honest, the quarter 1 results that we had were okay, but they're not where we want to be, right? So they took quarter two, really got it in gear and rolled out the programming and in quarter two, quarter three to be able to see the results you have in front of you here today. So I just wanted to take a moment to really appreciate their efforts and just the entire team for supporting that and having enough confidence in the process to be able to see the difference that you have today. So being able to operate at a level that's a couple notches above industry standards is where we want to be. Looking ahead for 2023, I'd like to be able to tighten the belt a little bit on the metrics and the data that we do have. So again, this is a basis for kind of checking the barometer and seeing, did we make our goals too easy? Did we make them too challenging? Were we right on the mark? So that we can go forward into 2023 and push ourselves where we need to and be realistic in other areas where we need to. So we're going to use quarter four to tighten that up a bit and prepare for 2023. We'd like to be able to be proactive about that so we can eventually get into incorporating these goals and metrics into every staff member's evaluation and annual review. And that will be the goal that we're working toward. But we want to give people the opportunity to understand the metrics, what they mean, and what their personal everyday work, how it impacts the end goal. So with that in mind, we will come back to you with a roster of our projected goals and changes for 2023. We should be able to do that the next time we come to see you toward the top of the year. So with that, you'll see a calendar in front of you so that you are also holding us accountable as a board and as a public to make sure that we keep on time and report back to you in a timely manner. With that, I believe that is our last update on this particular item, unless there are any questions.
Thank you, Andy, Aaron, and Nick. Any questions from the committee?
Question. Back, you did a comparison, I think, by quarters a couple slides back. And look right there, yes. And it sort of looked like the W-2, all the way across in those categories, there was a drop in that quarter. Does that, based on the data, does that make sense that those were so low? And then the process improvements we put in place, it was just, all the way across, it was a drop. And so if you could elaborate on that.
Yeah, it had us all scratching our heads, honestly. It could have been a couple of conditions. Really challenging weather event, right? We got so much cleanliness feedback, so we had some really tough weather. A lot of things happening there. I think also around safety security, we were coming out of COVID and confidence to return to public use of transit, I think was one of the other things we indicated there that we saw as a trend. And I think we are kind of buoyed by the consistency between Q1 and Q3. Could have been a surveyor thing, but I think that the point being that the team really took to heart the challenge of those numbers and leaned into putting strategies in place to address it. And so I think we'll continue to learn more as we gather more and more data. So Q4 is going to give us feedback. We'll start to normalize. Was that a trend? Do we learn things from cyclical cycles tied to cyclical cycles? That's redundant. Cycles of weather. What will we learn from those continuing data points on that?
And then one other question.
Aaron, if I could also.
Go ahead, India.
Thanks, Mayor Kumar. If I could just piggyback. If I'm very honest about it all, I do think, and this comes from talking to other CEOs in different transit agencies that have gone through this process or going through it, I think that as we get into the surveys and people and our customers really see the validity in it, they're being more honest as time goes on. To be quite honest, we survey people for a lot of things. And sometimes surveys can just be a check the box and keep moving. But I think that as they're seeing their issues be resolved, we're going to get more concerned, right? You're going to get more of a truthful response if people look at the survey as a mechanism to have their voice be heard. And so I would actually expect for the numbers to get worse before they get better, or to continue to have a different item on there for a while until we start to sustain some type of normalcy with how we address some of the challenges, whether it be safety, waiting environment, cleanliness, on-time performance, customer service, whatever it is. But I do think that people start to see the changes and our marketing impact, as was mentioned, these are being sent right up to the top and right through the middle as far as response. And I do believe that our customers are starting to look at this as a real mechanism to kind of explain what their issues are, and they're being taken seriously. So I think that we're going to see more issues come up that is good, because we can challenge that, we can tackle them and fix them as we move forward.
Thank you. One other question. Could you just comment on the employee engagement, how that's calculated? You can have a negative score, and just what's the total range of employee engagement, low to high?
So, and the employee engagement score and really the employee net promoter score. So this is a nuance of the net promoter score. So if you allow me, Mayor, I'm going to go back here real quick. The net promoter score is actually measured on a negative 100 to a positive 100. So you can have a negative net promoter score if the percent of your detractors are greater than your percent of your promoters. So when we did our initial evaluation of our employees' net promoter score, what is our employees' willingness to recommend RTA as a place to work to friends and family, we came in at a negative 2.5. A 10% improvement of that makes it a -2. So it doesn't seem like, maybe it doesn't necessarily seem like a really ambitious goal, but a 10% improvement is ambitious. And I think that, hopefully the team has followed along on the things that they've learned from the last employee engagement survey, and we'll start to see some positive trends on that. They also measure other things. There are other couple key metrics that they look at. George, I'm drawing a blank, but I think it's understand how my role contributes to organizational success. I understand the mission and vision. I believe my supervisor is invested in my success. I believe there's value in the training that we receive. So those are some of the things that get factored into the scorecard, which is different from the employee net promoter score.
Yeah, and I would agree from using net promoter score in my prior life that when you see those positive movements, moving people and that scoring up to a 9 or a 10 is a lot of heavy lifting, and we should celebrate those because that's a lot of hard work.
Yeah. I think something about this process, it's about progress, not perfection, right? And continuing to stretch ourselves. Thank you, Mayor, for your questions.
I have a comment also. I truly appreciate this work and the work that's gone into this, and want to encourage people, if you're listening online or you're on site or you're on social, to really go to the RTA website and to the Board of Trustees and look at this data, because it is very essential in how we are listening to the community, how we are taking in feedback, we are listening, we're learning, and figuring out how we can move forward to make transit accessible for everyone. And would really love, from an internal comm standpoint, to really see a campaign around promoting this type of data more in the community. I mean, I think it's fantastic. I think people want to see what we're working on. I think they want to see that we're listening to them. And even if it's just like the charts and the data being on social, I mean, I think it's just such great work, and we should be sharing this as early and as often as we possibly can. So thank you so much for this work.
Thanks, Trustee Welch.
Thank you. Any
Yeah,
comments
you all,
from?
and to Member Welch, we have a plan for that. We can definitely roll that out. Natoya, if you could touch base with Member Welch after the meeting.
Any further questions or comments from the board? Well, thank you very much. With that, I move to adjourn the Organizational Service and Performance Monitoring Committee. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion's carried. Meeting is adjourned.
Called order the Audit, Safety, Compliance, and Real Estate Committee meeting. If you could please call roll.
Mayor Kumar.
Here.
Ms. Moss. Mr. Joyce.
Here.
Ms. McCall. And Mayor Weiss.
Here.
We have 3 committee members present.
Great. We have Anthony Garifoldi here, I think, for a quarterly audit update. Turn it over to Tony.
Thank you. Good morning, President Lucas, Audit Chairperson Kumar, members of the Audit Committee, the board, and senior management, our guests, and folks on live stream. My name is Anthony Garofoli. I'm the Executive Director of Internal Audit, and I will be presenting the results of our third quarter internal audit activities. I'll be referring to the quarterly audit report that was shared with members of management and the trustees. Before I begin, and as requested by several board members, we've invited our internal audit department support group and team to join us today. So if I can ask them to come up front, and then our audit manager, Anthony Ganem, is going to introduce them. These people are responsible for the work in internal audit, and I appreciate their support. And with that, here is Anthony Ganem. Please go out in front.
Good morning. As Tony stated, and per request of the board members, I'm going to introduce the folks that do the heavy lifting in our office, and these are in no particular order. I will start with Staff Auditor Laura Crawshaw, Staff Auditor Molly O'Donnell, Staff Auditor Darren Garlock, IT Specialist Randall Bowles, IT Auditor Andrew Scott, and Lead Auditor Stephen Zimmerman. If you all have any questions, you certainly are free to ask at this time. Okay, thank you. I will turn it back over to Tony.
Thank you, Anthony. And again, I want to formally thank them for their work, and they're going to get back to work, so enjoy your day. With that, I will go into a summary of our third quarter audit activities. And please refer to the quarterly audit report. On pages 3 and 4 is the audit plan that was referred to the audit committee and to the full board and approved in the March 2022 meeting. We continue to execute this risk-based plan, and we should have this plan fully attained, before the next board audit committee meeting. Pages 5 through 9, please find the results of 7 projects completed during the third quarter. These projects are employee travel expense and requests for reimbursement. We completed 2 Federal Transit Administration pre-award Buy America audits. The first is on the 20 compressed natural gas vehicles, which are going to be replacement coaches at the Triscuit District. We also completed a pre-award Buy America review of the replacement locomotive for the Power and Way Department. Both of these procurements were brought before the board and approved. We completed an internal controls review of the handling of security keys that are used to access our RTA facilities. We completed a vehicle parts inventory with our supply chain management group, and this work was used by our external auditors in the 2021 financial audit. And finally, we completed an internal controls review of the RTA cash collection sites. Controls are in place and working effectively for these cash collection sites. We met with management, received their responses to our audit recommendations, and we are now tracking these recommendations in our issue tracking system, and we will follow up and validate and close those out appropriately. The next item in my presentation is with regard to the self-assessment that the internal audit group completed. Okay, this is a required self-assessment in accordance with the professional auditing standards, internal auditing standards, to be done every 5 years. We completed that self-assessment. We reported out to the audit committee in August. The last phase or next step of that assessment is to bring in an external validator, an independent and qualified validator. We have formed a group with our procurement director, Melinda D'Angelo. That group consists of the audit chair, Raj Gautam, and myself, and we are in the final processes of procuring that independent validator. Hopefully they're on site at some point at the end of the year, beginning of next year, so that we can validate our self-assessment. Pages 10 through 13 of the report is the results of our continuous auditing program. This is where we develop audit scripts. You saw Andrew and you saw Randy. Those folks are responsible for the execution of those audit scripts. And what we're doing is a 100% audit of the transactions in our computer systems, looking for compliance, looking for ways that we can support management and this organization. During the quarter, we executed scripts for the fare collection systems. All monies were collected, they were deposited, and posted properly to the general ledger. We did an audit of our procurement card processes and transactions. We also executed a script for our paratransit eligibility for our customers, where folks are no longer eligible, perhaps they've passed or they haven't applied for renewal, to make sure that our databases are up to date. We completed a script on nepotism, searching for compliance with the authority's personnel policies and our code of ethics. We've recently shared that information with our human resources department so that they can implement any corrective actions as needed. And then a new script is where we're auditing our payroll system. On a biweekly basis, payroll is processed, and we have developed a script to search for any fraud, waste, and abuse. So we're anxious to execute that script. We haven't done so yet, but we'll report that out on future meetings. On pages 14 through 25 are projects in progress. We have a number of projects in progress. They are in various stages. Some field work is complete, some we're still actively working on, some we're waiting for management responses. They are identified in this quarterly report, and when we receive those management responses, we will issue those reports, and we will report out to Audit Committee and the board in future meetings. On page 26 is our efforts to work with external auditors. As the state auditors completed their fiscal year 2021 single audit. They reported out to the board and released that report in July. They have decided that they will do the 2022 single audit, and we expect them to begin their preliminary work before the end of the year, perhaps this month, perhaps in December. We look forward to working with them and with Raj's group. The Federal Transit Administration completed a review of the authority's drug and alcohol program and issued a draft report. Management responded to the draft, and we're waiting for that final report. It was a good news report. The remainder of my report is informational. We continue to follow up on audit recommendations, as I stated. We participate in a number of steering committees to share our broad sense of knowledge, and on panels as non-voting members to do the same. At this point, I can respond to any questions from the committee or from the board. It's your pleasure, Mayor.
Any questions from the committee or board members present?
Yeah, Mayor, through the chair. Tony, just because I did something similar to our offices on the keys issue and the amount of people that we have here, I saw there were some non-compliance issues with our personnel policies and procedures, and that we're looking at a system replacement. So is that just changing the whole building?
Well, there's always ongoing changes to keys and cores and locks, and there's certainly issues with folks who separate from service getting keys back. Okay, maintaining an inventory of keys. And our security team that works for our transit police, they are in the process of replacing or upgrading a system that they use to maintain inventory. And we look forward to that. So some process improvements in those efforts.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions from the board? Tony, thank you for your time, and I know I will just say, from my perspective, the quarterly audit committee meetings that we've been holding, I think, have been extremely helpful to the committee. It's been great communication, and I appreciate you engaging your whole team in those presentations. That's great experience for them, but it's great to hear from the people who have performed the work.
Thank you, Mayor.
All right. I think we have one more. Okay. Okay, great. All right, I think we have one more item, if I get my electronics working. An executive session is requested to confer with RTA's attorney regarding a dispute that is the subject of pending and imminent court action, / litigation. I would ask for a motion from the committee to go into executive session.
So moved.
Second, please. Okay, roll call, please.
Mayor Kumar,
Yes.
Mr. Joyce,
Yes.
and Mayor Weiss.
Yes.
We have 3 committee members present, 3 ayes and none opposed. Sorry.
Great. At this time, we'll be going into executive session. I'd like to invite all board members to attend that executive session. And from management, General Counsel Bernie,
Help you out here.
Cheryl King Benford, Raj Gotham, Keith Cantor, I'm trying to read your handwriting, and Kay Satua from Office of Management and Budget. If I could ask everyone else to vacate the room, that'd be great.
And I am ready.
Okay, could I have a motion to adjourn executive session?
So moved.
Second?
Lose second.
Great. Roll call, please.
Okay, Mayor Kumar,
Yes.
Mr. Joyce, and Mayor Weiss.
Yes.
We have 3 ayes and none opposed.
Okay, from the committee members, any other business under the committee today? If not, a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second, Welch.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Meeting adjourned.
Reverend is up next. Over the board meeting.
Thank you. I will call to order Board of Trustees meeting. Have the roll call. I'm going to do the roll call and then he'll take it.
Ready? Mayor Biassiata.
Here.
Mr. Joyce. Here. Mayor Kumar.
Here.
President Lucas. Here. Ms. McCall is not here. Ms. Moss is not here. Ms. Peo. Here. Mayor Weiss.
Here.
And Ms. Welch.
Here.
We have 7 board members present.
Have a certification?
Mr. President, I first advise that notice of this meeting has been posted more than 24 hours in advance of the meeting, that the usual notification has been given to news media and other interested persons, and that all requirements of the Ohio Revised Code and rules and bylaws of this board regarding notice of meeting have been complied with.
Thank you. We need a motion to approve the October 25th board meeting. Yes. Motion, please.
So move. Lose.
Second.
All right, all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Thank you very much. I'm asking Mr. Joyce if he will preside for me today.
Great. Do we have anything, Teresa, under the External and Stakeholder Relations and Advocacy Committee report?
Ms. Walker Minor has not come back into the room, but I do not believe she has anything.
Okay. How about the Community Advisory Committee?
I do not believe we have any updates for that either. Ms. Birdsong Terry?
Yeah, no items for those two.
Ad hoc committee reports? Anything on paratransit?
I don't believe we have anything. I believe we do have a tech committee update.
Tech, Luz, thanks.
The ad hoc tech committee will be meeting December 8th at 5 o'clock in this room. All are welcomed.
Great. December 8th in this room for the ad hoc. See Luz after. Thank you. Introduction of new employees.
Mr. Joyce, I believe we skipped the public comments, so we need to go back up to number 5.
My apologies.
That's
Public
fine.
comments,
I know this is your
please.
first time. Okay, any comments for in person?
Reverend?
Yes. For you all who don't understand me, I do have a lot of responsibility as a community leader. And the consultant who was here earlier, I heard 2 very important labels, peer benchmark, and I heard him say something about leadership. The agenda, I am concerned about it because many of the peers who I have are dealing with mass incarceration or hospital issues and that type of thing, because most people of color are not equipped for the system that's in place. I have white family members or Seleucid family members. I have family members of all different colors, but I have a real challenge when it's only white males making decisions for our transportation system. When I see all these other people that are incarcerated and locked up, and then the white female is protected by that. And we're making decisions like for items number A, B, F, and C. When I was talking to you earlier about the black businesses and the black consultants, I don't see anything where we have people of color, black people, including women, making decisions. I see black people and other people, Asians and others, doing a whole lot of work, like field people, like in slavery, but I don't see anybody at the desk making decisions. I don't see any consultants coming in from people who are my color and other colors. I don't see that. And I also, for the telecommunications, item number D, dealing with AT&T, from my experience, they always have hidden fees. Could you have your person who does the money find out and make sure that AT&T is not overcharging us and having hidden fees for the items and the services that we use? And and I would like to know what a call-out policy is. And for item I heard the clock. I would like to know who the members on the civilian oversight are. Do we have youth, disabled, people of color, and do we have elderly people? And I'll be back for non-agenda items. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend. Anybody else from the public? Sure, sir.
Hello.
Hello.
I wanted to address the RTA board and everyone. I'm a disabled community of this community, and we're having problems with the drivers who want to speed off, pass us by, and just, a lot of drivers. There's one driver in particular, I'm not going to mention his name out of respect for him, but he does speed, he almost causes accidents, and they just need to slow down and wait for people. I mean, there's a whole bunch of these drivers that see us walking. I walk with a walker in far distances, and they just want to pass us up. They don't want to wait. They don't want to pay attention to where we're walking to. And there's that temporary bus stop on 13th. They always pass that, and we don't have time to get to it. And I think that needs to be addressed to this board meeting. So thank you for listening to me. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Anybody else from the public? Anybody online or on the phone, Reese?
We do have one caller on the line.
Okay.
Go ahead, Chris
Hello?
Campbell.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, sir.
Good morning again, you
Or me.
guys. Can you hear me? I hear a lot of background. Okay. We're talking about paratransit, correct?
Yes. Anything.
Yes. Okay, listen. All right, I'm a paratransit rider. Wow, where do I start, you guys? I have had to call so many times. I worked within the last week of last week. I was late to work. I was late being picked up, and it's almost like last week was an everyday thing. My number is 109-8143. And I've had this problem ongoing. I started working last year, if you look at my record there. The only reason why I still have a job is by the grace of God, because I've been late more times than is acceptable. I don't know. I really don't know how you guys are going to solve it, because I've talked to Mr. Gibson. I've talked to numerous people about the transportation timing. For instance, this morning, my ride to work, my window was 9:30 to 10. The driver picked me up at 9:40. We had a stop next door to me. Then we went to Euclid Avenue. Then we went back to Lakeshore, which is where I live, over to the west side. Last week, I'm supposed to be at work at 11 o'clock. I'm punching in at 11:02, 11 o'clock. The type of job that I have, I work in a youth shelter with the court system, and we have to do a briefing before we start work. That puts me being late. If I punch in at 11 o'clock, 11:02, I'm late. And I was told by your employers there that, okay, we're getting you there at 11 o'clock. That's still making me late for work. I already have a window scheduled out an hour and a half. So if you look at the record, you'll see how many times I've had to call in. And the person that has, I mean, it's very, I'm nervous every day. Am I going to get fired for being late for work? And I'm really not exaggerating that, you guys. I have never came, this is like the second meeting I've ever been in years. And it's because the problem is so consistent that I felt I need to come into the meeting today to let you guys know. I talked about the condition of the bus earlier, but I'm really concerned about the timing for me going to work and then for me coming home the other day, Thursday morning, I'm supposed to be at work at 11. I punched in at 11:02. My ride to go home is my window's from 7 to 7:30. The driver didn't pick me up till 7:52. And this has been happening way too often. So, again, I'm not complaining. I believe in working with people to get a solution and see what we can do to rectify it. I mean, especially because it's my job.
Ma'am, did you want to leave your name? Your 2 minutes are up for public comment. Did you want to leave your name?
Yes, please.
But
it's Christina
Christina.
Gamble.
Okay.
Gamble.
Christina.
Thank you so very much.
Okay, thank you.
We appreciate your call and concerns. Thank you. Anyone else, Therese?
Anyone
no
else
more
on the
callers
phone?
on the line.
Okay. I think we're finished.
Good.
Yep, we're good.
Okay, thanks. Any action on the committee reports, Therese? You know, I've skipped around here for a sec.
I think we're ready for new hires now.
Okay. Introduction of new employees and announcement of promotions. George?
All right. Good morning, Mr. President, Reverend Lucas, members of the board, Ms. Birdsong Terry. It's my pleasure to introduce to you our new hires and promotions for November. We'll start off with our new hires: Felicia Howard, paratransit operator; Onaya Friedman, janitor; Jarrell Jones, laborer; big bus operators Evelyn Lee and Larika Lee; Jose Rosado, equipment servicer, mechanic; Peter Cummings, communication specialist; Damon Hawkins, office manager in our legal division; Ida Ford, talent acquisition manager. Now for our promotions: Denisa Blackman, transit ambassador; Avery Rogers, service quality supervisor; Paul Majou, maintenance technician; Latha Darakanath, manager of application development; Michael So, manager of general accounting; and Keith Ganther, senior counsel of litigation. I'd like to pause and actually give our deputy general managers, Ms. Burney and Mr. Gotham, an opportunity if they want to say a few words about these key promotions for accounting and the legal division.
Good morning to the board. My name is Janet Burney. I'm general counsel. We had thought that maybe Keith Ganther would be able to be here today, but he is doing the authorities' work. He's at a hearing. But wanted to let you know that he was promoted effective October 30th, 2022 to the position of senior counsel for litigation. This promotion followed a competitive interview and screening process. Keith has been with the authority since 2006, and he's a 1982 graduate of Cleveland Marshall College of Law. He has 39 years of legal experience, which includes civil practice in both public and private sectors. He's a former partner at Buckley King and also Willisey, Lopresti, and Maccabi law firms. He also served as an assistant Ohio Attorney General during his legal career. As a senior counsel for litigation, Keith will be responsible for supervising, managing, and coordinating legal representation of the authority in personal injury, employment, workers' compensation, contracts, and various other litigation matters. Again, if he weren't at a hearing, he would be here, but just wanted to let you know about our new senior counsel for litigation. Thank you.
Thank you. Raj?
Thank you, George. Members of the board, good morning. My name is Raj Gautam, Deputy General Manager of Finance. Very, very excited to have Lata Dwarkanath, the Manager of Applications. She had been in the acting role, has been a long-term RTA employee, oversees key softwares, and her promotion comes at a perfect time as we continue to invest in new technologies with the Oracle upgrades and many other applications. So congratulations to her. Michael So has been with RTA about 7 or 8 years, from my recollection. A wonderful team member, and his promotion also comes at the perfect time with year-end approaching and our friendly auditors knocking on the door shortly thereafter. So wanted to introduce them very quickly and offer my congratulations to both of them. Thank you.
To the board, this is India on the line, if I may. George, before you follow up, just wanted to say congratulations to all of these promotions that we have. We really are excited to be able to promote from within. A lot of these individuals that you see have been with RTA for quite some time and have really proven themselves as essential assets to their departments and their divisions, and really to the progress that we've made over the last few years. So I do wholeheartedly say congratulations to them. And then also to piggyback on Janet, and I believe it's the previous slide, we'll see an office manager position. That one is one that has been a long time coming for filling from an external point of view, and we're really excited to be able to kind of build up that law department under the new leadership of Janet Burney as general counsel as we start to reconfigure the diagram in that division. So again, congratulations to everyone who has seen a promotion recently, and also welcome to those that are new.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, India. Thanks, George, Raj, and Janet.
Thank you, Mr. Joyce, Mr. President.
Appreciate that. No, from the board also, congratulations to all hires and promotions. So, great. We'll have introduction of resolutions. Teresa, 2022-98.
Authorizing a change order to exercise an option under contract number 2020-071 with Gillick LLC for the purchase and delivery of up to 20 40-foot low-floor CNG coaches as specified at a unit price of $652,031.56 for an amount not to exceed $13,040,631.20. RTA Development Fund, Fleet Management Department budget.
Motion to approve.
I move to approve.
Second.
Lose second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. 2022-99.
Authorizing contract number 2022-111 with Independence Excavating Incorporated for Project 27YA, Cuyahoga Viaduct Phase 1A bulkhead repair as specified and as required in an amount not to exceed $869,500. RTA Development Fund, Engineering and Project Development Department budget.
Entertain a motion to approve.
So move to approve.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. 2022-100.
Authorizing contract number 2022-068 with Workwear Outfitters, LLC for the furnishing of operator and supervisor uniform services for a period of 3 years in an amount not to exceed $1,500,000 with 2 one-year options in an amount not to exceed $500,000 per year for a total contract amount not to exceed $2,500,000 for a period of 5 years. General Fund, various department budgets.
Motion to approve.
Move to approve.
Second.
Second, Welch.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. 2022-101, Trees.
Authorizing a ratification and time extension to contract number 2014-054 with AT&T Corporation for telecommunications services in an amount not to exceed $352,627 for a total contract amount not to exceed $2,695,157, General Fund, Innovation and Technology Department budget. And Mr. Joyce, if we could remember just to ask the board if there's any discussion before motion is second.
Thank you. Thank you, Trees. Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second. I heard a second.
Second, Welch.
Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it. 2022-102.
Okay. To amend the fiscal year 2022 revenues and appropriations as adopted in resolution numbers 2021-112, 2022-068, and 2022-083 to provide for an increase in the appropriation in the insurance fund in the amount of $500,000.
Entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it. 2022-103.
Okay. Authorizing the Greater Cleveland Regional Transit Authority to enter into a purchase and sale agreement with XAPC Company for the purchase of 15583 Brook Park Road, Brook Park, Ohio, Cuyahoga County Permanent Parcel Number 343-11-004 for the sum of $1,500,000.
Entertain a motion to approve.
I move to approve.
Second, Luce.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it. 2022-104.
Removing section 644.01, work week and hours, 644.02, compensation, 644.03, payroll checks, 644.04, payroll deductions, 644.05, overtime, and 644.06, call-out policy for exempt employees from the codified rules and regulations of the Greater Cleveland Regional Transit Authority as duplicative of personnel policies 400.01, 400.02, 400.03, 400.04, 400.05, and 400.06 respectively, and amending those personnel policies.
Entertain a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
Second.
Second, Luce.
Any discussion, comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. 2022-105.
Amending sections 222.05E of the Codified Rules and Regulations of the Greater Cleveland Regional Transit Authority to increase the compensation for members of the Civilian Oversight Committee from $1,200 to $1,800 per year. Board of Trustees Department budget.
Entertain a motion to approve.
So, second?
Second.
Or first?
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion, comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. 2022-106.
Adopting the operating procedures of the Civilian Oversight Committee.
Entertain a motion to approve.
Approve.
Second.
Luce, second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Discussion.
Yes, Reverend.
Congratulate the committee that's put this together, that we are now initiating this from our Board of Trustees. Again, to the board committee that Ms. Welch has been a part of, to Chief Jones, who's here, to Doc, and everyone who's been a part of it. I want to add that to statement for today.
Thank you, Reverend. Your congratulations is noted. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Okay, Raj, Secretary Treasurer's report.
Good morning to the board members, senior management. Good morning. And those online. My name is Raj Gautam. I am the Deputy General Manager of Finance and the Board Secretary Treasurer. It is my pleasure to give you a brief update on the general economic conditions and the main drivers of our business. This is new information that we wanted to share with inflationary news been quite prevalent recently. Inflation obviously is one of the most important economic indicators, identifying the change in the price of level of goods and services. The annual inflation rate in the US has increased from 2.5% in January 2022, just before COVID began, to 8.2% in September 2022. This means, obviously, that the purchasing power of the US dollar has weakened in recent years. The purchasing power is the extent to which a person or company has available funds to make purchases. Now, most of us will know that typically inflation is defined as too many dollars chasing too few goods. This, however, is the flip side of the equation, where I think most of the inflationary pressures that we are seeing are a result of the supply side, supply chain constraints, and rising gas prices that were the key drivers of the inflation. As companies continue to right-size their inventory levels and transportation bottlenecks ease, global logistics are showing signs of recovery. So as we can see on the right side, the height of the inflation occurred in June at 9.1%. That metric has decreased to 8.2%, and continued signs of recovery seem to be evident, as shared also by Kesatula in the budget presentation, where the estimates for inflation for 2023 are significantly below the current levels. The U.S. labor market remains resilient. So unemployment rate for the U.S. for September was 3.5%, which was down from 3.7% in August. Ohio's unemployment rate remained steady at 4%. The county unemployment rate is not seasonally adjusted, which causes the increase in the unemployment rate as reported. The county's estimated unemployment rate was 4.9% in September, down from 5% in August. Here we look at the 5 largest metropolitan statistical areas in Ohio. Over the past 3 years, the height of the labor force, or the lowest unemployment rate, if you will, was just before COVID began, and that was in February 2020. After the pandemic, we're now back to pre-COVID unemployment rates. For the month of September, unemployment rates for each one of the MSAs are as follows. Cleveland MSA has shown a steady decline to 5.1%, which is down from 5.2% from the month before. Cincinnati, 3.5%, has remained steady. Columbus, 3.5%, has risen from 3.4%. Dayton has remained steady at 3.9%, and Toledo showing an increase from 4% to 4.1%. Ridership, Mr. Freilich touched upon in the service plan. So this is the report on the year-to-date ridership through October. The October ridership was 16.6% when compared to October 2021 level. On a year-to-date basis, ridership is 18.4% above 2021. Passenger fares are obviously directly related to the increases in ridership. We do see a blip in October, and that indicated by the green bar. That represents a payment that we received from the CMSD for the 2022-2023 school year. They always make a lump sum payment for the entire year. The net result is through October, 226.9% increase. On a year-to-date basis, 39.3% above 2021 levels. Sales tax, as also previously reported, has remained strong for us for the entire year. October 2022 receipts, and before I go any further, I need to highlight that because of the dates, typically sales tax collections come in around the 15th through the 20th of the month. So these are not November numbers. I'm reporting numbers that you have previously seen. But just to recap, the October 2022 receipts, which was based on July 2022 economic activity, were 4.7% higher when compared to last year, 2.7% higher than budget, and on a year-to-date basis, receipts are 6.6% higher than 2021 levels. Of the 23 categories that make up the sales tax base, 17 categories were positive. Motor vehicles and watercraft continue to be showing signs of weakness. They were 0.2% lower when compared to the prior month. Online sales were 17%. Regular and statewide sales were 4.1% higher. With that, I will be happy to answer any questions or entertain any other comments that you may have.
Any questions or comments from the board? Great, hearing none.
Okay. Thank you.
Raj, we appreciate you. Thank you for the update as always. General Manager's report.
I believe India is going to do them online.
Okay.
Good morning again. Thank you, Member Joyce. I will be brief and start in with an update on the City of Cleveland Transportation and Mobility Committee. On November 2nd of this year, RTA was invited to the committee meeting with council, which was a great opportunity because we were able to really give a state of transportation, as it were, to the committee members. We had a lot of robust conversation, and we were able to really bring them up to speed regarding our revised mission and vision statement that we've been working off of for the last year or so, strategic plan initiatives, including rail car replacement, updates, capital projects and infrastructure, TOD or transit-oriented development, workforce and hiring, and then they had a keen interest in the technology and the customer impact, for example, the Easy Fare. So it was a great opportunity. We appreciate Councilman Kerry McCormick as well as Blaine Griffin for organizing that discussion, as well as several of the other council members who showed interest. Councilman Slife, I believe, was also part of that leadership team that spearheaded that conversation. So thank you for that. Next slide. Also wanted to be able to bring you up to speed. There are a couple programs that we've discussed with you, Baby on Board being one of them. And there were several questions as to how are we going to really move the needle forward and get a lot of participation, not from just the county, but from the entire ridership and potential advertisement for opportunities through the Baby on Board and maternity programs, and also other programs such as Cleveland Reads, which is a literacy program spearheaded by Mayor Bibb through Cleveland. We actually have been a little bit hard at work on the marketing side, and this is the fruit of the labor for those programs of using our own advertising mechanisms via the bus wrap to be able to promote a lot of the positive programs that are going on in the community. So this is really the first of many to come, being able to utilize our own mobility to advertise these social safety nets and then also literacy programs. We're really excited about this, and we invite those in the audience and others to approach us in our marketing department with opportunities for collaboration with this type of advertisement. Our RTA agency in a good place. Thank you. Next slide. Also being able to think about outreach and what we function, what our function is outside of Ohio even. COMSOC, which is Conference of Minority Transportation Officials, which is basically an advocacy organization that's housed or headquartered in Washington, D.C. Has been around for quite some time, I want to say since the early 70s or 60s, and really starts to think about things like DBE and Office of Business Development, and how we can really work to be able to get those contractors in. I was mentioned, I believe, by Reverend Pinckney in some of the public comments. We've had questions by Ms. Moss. We've had questions by Mr. Joyce. We've had questions by many of our board members, Reverend Lucas, being able to think about how we can really bolster our output to those industry leaders in the minority communities and beyond, women-owned and so on and so forth. So our leadership through the COMSO local chapter of Northeast Ohio and Cleveland has really started to get back out there. And we actually hosted the COMSO National Board Chair, Tanya Adams, who hails from Chicago and is working in the private sector of transportation. Got an opportunity to really kind of meet and greet with a lot of professionals across the city here in Cleveland, and was impressed by the team that we have here and what we can do for the future. So we appreciate the leadership and also the partnership that you see with a lot of the agencies that are listed on the slide you have in front of you. Next slide. Also wanted to bring to your attention, I will be doing town halls or visits with our districts across the agency within the next 30 days or so, to be able to really just have a good touch point with those employees that I may not be able to see every day, and really think about how we're going to enter into 2023 and recap some of the good things that we've done in 2022. So looking forward to that as well. Next slide. We also continue to support our legislative body and our leadership here in Greater Cleveland through the county, and also delegation across the state. We did attend the Cuyahoga County Mayors and City Managers Association, their 13th annual award ceremony and fundraiser. We had several members of our board leadership attend, and a few of our staff as well. We were really excited to be able to witness Senator Matt Dolan and County Executive current Armin Budish with a couple of awards which were bestowed in the name of George Voinovich. So we really want to be able to say thank you to them. They are staunch supporters of public transit, and we appreciate their service. Next slide. I believe that brings me to the end of my presentation, aside from a thank you to our veterans. This is something that I thought was important to put in the agenda today. We have already, experienced Veterans Day on the 11th, but it is a resounding thank you all year long to those veterans that are among our GCRTA family as well. We appreciate you, and your leadership and courage is not unnoticed. We appreciate your service. And that takes me to the end of the presentation, unless there are any questions.
Any questions and comments for our general manager? We have none. India, we appreciate the report.
My pleasure.
Thank you. Mr. President, anything?
Next month.
Okay, we'll get something from the Reverend next month. Old business in our packets is the proposed 2023 board and committee meeting schedule for information purposes. No motion, right, Therese?
If the board wants to approve it, we can, or we will
Okay.
wait another month.
That would be great to get it.
Maybe if we wait for our other,
Okay.
Any feedback from anyone?
yeah, because I wasn't sure.
No opposition to anything, but.
Okay.
What is the will of the board?
Last month, the idea was to provide feedback. I guess if
Yeah,
we haven't heard anything by now, my schedule tends to fill up quickly with other things, so I would.
Same.
We'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
There has been a discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Anything under new business? Teresa, nothing? If not, from the public, comments regarding public transit items.
Always, that's why we're here. Before I go into what I would like to say in reference to my concern, I would like to let you know that 2 operators this morning stated that they need an AM and PM board because it's interfering with their rest. And we need our operators functional and comfortable, please. I'm going to reintroduce myself because some people in this room think they know me and they really don't. I'm Reverend Pamela M. Pinckney Butts. I'm the daughter of Charles Jackson Pinckney and attorney Betty K. Butts Pinckney. I'm the ninth cousin to George Washington, the first inaugurated president of the United States of America, who won this country with the weapons of war. But I'm here to win our country with the tools and instruments of the people. Chief Jones and detectives, some people believe that people are property and they transport people as property. No, we transport in our transportation the property of the people. The people are not the property. And there seems to be some confusion there. My ninth cousin removed, George Washington, was the first United States president to free slaves. It was not Abraham Lincoln. And his wife did not agree to doing that. I'm also the relative, Butts on my name is because I have made up my mind that I'm not going to allow any man to make me give up everything in a relationship and he won't give. Well, I'm a very single woman and successfully at it. And I wanted to, when I was in the room, I was feeling some things in the atmosphere. And I need to say this. Some people of color feel inferior to other people of another color. I don't feel inferior to anybody, and I don't feel superior to anybody. And until we get this on the same page, detective and chief of police and chairman and all of you in this room, then we're not going to have a productive and functional transportation system. And I don't like anybody insulting me before I speak either. So let's keep our insults to ourselves as well. Let's get on the same page. And I am running for president of the United States of America for 2024. And I would like for you to help me help the people in the community, as well as help Dantes Taylor with that winter drive. We don't have to beg anybody for anything. We're supposed to be on the same page. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Lou?
Good morning again. Thank you. Right now, I would like to show you again. This actually was an injury I really got on our E-Line bus. So even before pandemic started, we did have a heavier traffic. We had a heavier ridership. And it was even hard for the experienced bus drivers to take care of all the safety aspects of the operation. So now, with the pandemic, we have a new workforce coming in. So the training should be very important to let them know that the issues the other writer just mentioned earlier, those things is something we have to go back to retrain these people to not let these things happen. That was the reason why I mentioned earlier about the budget on purchasing buses or any vehicles of GCRTA. If you really use a convention design and not think about improvement, for me being short, when the bus move all of a sudden like that in a certain speed, I can bump into other people's backpack and get hurt on my face, just for example. Now, if it's not really that crowded enough, yes, I can be fallen again. This is the reason why I really appreciate GCRTA right now conducts a survey itself. But most of the question is from the administrative point of view. This is another reason why I really wish the paratransit survey from Noble, which I have to thank all of you for it, to recognize it. If you can adopt some kind of questions which is from writer's point of view into the survey, that would be very helpful, because currently our survey is only randomly applied. Not all the writers have a chance to fill it up. So if we want to hear more voices, and I will be really happy to know, right now we have all different channels to get a public input in. Thank you very much for it.
Thank you, Lou. Appreciate it. Okay, anybody else on the line or the web, Therese?
Anybody online?
We do have 2 callers.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead, caller.
This is Mrs. Gamble. I'm going to read this. I respectfully came to the meeting to express my concerns and issues. I'm sorry that I only had 2 minutes to speak. I was not aware of that time limit. I feel not valued as a paid writer, $1,320 yearly. It makes me feel again that my concern is not important. I will not give up. I will continue to reach out and lift my voice in a positive manner. I've been calling paratransit for months about me being late, about the services that I receive, and I came to talk in a positive way. 2 minutes. I feel that since I've been in this meeting since 9 o'clock this morning, on my job, they allowed me to come in. It's 11:39 a.m., and we only have such a short time to express our concerns, and I've been calling for months. I respectfully value you guys' time, and I'm just in prayer that some kind of way I'm going to be able to express what's going on with me, and somebody's going to have time to listen. Thank you so very much. God bless you all.
Thank you, caller. Go ahead, caller number 2.
Good morning. This is Robert Wynn. I'm in Cleveland. I'm calling because I have some concerns regarding the survey for the Net Promoter Score as it relates to on-time performance. Myself and my partner, we recently just actually on Thursday got a car because due to a number of reasons, and a big part of that is just the inability to get places on time using RTA. I haven't had a car since 2007. Finally took the plunge back to a one-car household, which is unfortunate. I'm not very happy with myself, but just our inability to get places on time kind of finally put us in this position. So my question about this survey is, there's a difference between on-time actual and on-time perception. So my question is, if a bus doesn't come due to operator shortage or a train doesn't come due to a breakdown and we miss a connection, that's clearly going to impact our perception. But how does that impact the on-time actual metric? If that bus doesn't operate, but then the next one comes on time, is that bus or train considered to be on time in terms of the metrics that are being tracked? Because I might get there late, even if that's recorded as being on time actual for the bus or train that actually operates. So thank you for that. I appreciate your time and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, caller, and I'm sure we'll have someone on staff to address those concerns mentioned here today in person and online. Anyone else? Great. The next regular board meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, December 20th in the boardroom of this authority, the Root McBride Building, 1240 West 6th Street, Cleveland, Ohio, 44113. This meeting will be live streamed on RTA's board page, www.riderta.com/board, by clicking the meeting date. The public is welcome to attend in person.
Mr. Joyce?
Yes.
Excuse me for a minute.
Sure, sorry.
Sorry to interrupt. Keith Ganther has arrived. Just want to say hello.
Yes.
Let you see who he is in the flesh. Our new senior counsel for litigation. Thank you, Keith. Thank you, board.
No, thank you, Janet. I apologize. I didn't see him come in. Welcome, Keith, and we had extended our congratulations to all hires and promotions. So we're happy you're on board, and welcome. No, thank you. Okay, thanks, Janet, for that. If seeing nothing before the board, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Second?
Second, Welch.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This meeting stands adjourned.
Thank you.